Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
Thank you. I have work to do, and you have work to do. I don't like to be berated by Hank or anyone.
This is episode 236, recorded June 28th, 2023.
Gruesome Magazine.
My name is Jeff Mohr, and it's not Hank, so I'm safe.
It's not Hank. There is no Hank here.
Good.
This podcast is, well, it's a little-known secret that Chad's nickname in his gang is Hank, but anyway.
Oh, my. I was like, wait, what is he going to say? What is he going to say?
I didn't know what I was going to say.
Obviously.
You should have went with not knowing what you were going to say.
Yeah. So anyway.
I was like, okay, yeah.
This podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. In each episode, my co-host, Chad Hunt, Crystal Cleveland, and Bill Mulligan, and I will tackle another classic or not-so-classic film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. So on this podcast, we start by giving a few basic details of the film we're covering, followed by first impressions. We do some taglines too that they used to try to sell this movie in there. The marketing department's got to get their hand in. And then we just kind of talk in general about things that are in the film. And there are some things to talk about in this film. But first, let's introduce the crew on this podcast. First up is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead girl and co-host of Gruesome Magazine podcast. How are you, Crystal?
Yep. I'm pretty good. I'm tired. It's weird almost being July already. Jeez.
It is.
Cheese and rice. The
Freaking me out a
year
bit.
is just flying by. So, yep.
It is.
I'm excited about this movie. Whose choice was this again? I can't remember.
Also joining us is Chad Hunt.
Bill's?
Feels like a Chad choice.
How does
Comic
it
book
feel
artist.
like a Chad's choice?
Yeah, it feels like a Chad. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I used
we're
up
all
my
crazy
slams
here.
already.
I will attacked.
So how you doing,
I
bud?
like it. It's a good choice.
I'm good.
For now.
Yeah, see, yeah.
And last
good,
but not
see?
least, Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, co-host of Decades of Horror of the 1970s. Bill, what say you? Oh, hey, he comes prepared.
I apologize for not being here for the last one, but things are going better now and should be full steam ahead.
You've recovered, huh? Because on the last podcast was Monkey Shines.
Yes,
and
which
we
I wanted
told
to talk
everybody
about.
you were hiding in the bathtub after seeing the monkey with the razor.
Oh, we did hold on.
Oh, that's true. That is.
I forgot about that. Yeah, okay. I was like, we didn't pick up. Oh,
That's
yeah,
absolutely true. Like if we did something with severed hands and Chad wasn't able to make it for some reason. Yeah.
I told
Are you
Chad.
kidding? You guys would never allow me to not be here if you talked about a severed hand movie.
I tried
Well,
to defend
we'll
you, Bill,
stretch
but
this
Chad
out
was
a
like,
couple of
no.
months.
Look at how much crap I get about.
We'll stretch this out for a couple of months till Chad can join us. He's such a valuable part of this podcast.
You are.
So I say, if there's any indie filmmakers out there who are thinking about, make a movie called Monkey with a Razor, and we will review it. And I guarantee
I'm writing
you
it right now.
Yeah.
I'm writing it now. It's about a
possible.
podcaster, a podcast guy,
It's
and
possible
special
that one of our
makeup effects artist, all around nice guy that
right.
is being stalked by a monkey.
I
with a
love that
razor.
he's like all around nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is that going to save him from the chimp with the razor? It will not.
It's possible that one of our listeners has suggested something like that, but we'll get to that in the feedback, which we will do when we're done with the movie.
Ruh-roh.
So Decades of Gruesome Magazine are partnering with Play Now Media on several of their channels. In particular, Decades of Horror of the 1980s is on Wicked Horror TV and the Free Horror Channel. So check us out there. If you subscribe to any of those, they have some a good selection of movies. All righty. Let us move forward. Spoiler alert.
Oh, we're going to
tell you what happened, even though we're not completely sure what happened. So
yeah.
It's only 42 years old. So what the heck? Or 41,
Oh,
depending
yeah.
on who you believe.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, because Tubi said 81, but it's 82, isn't it?
Well, we'll get to that. I'll tell you about that right now. So our movie is
The eyeball.
The Incubus, or just Incubus.
Hmm.
I don't know. The title, the movie was originally sold as The Incubus. IMDb calls it The Incubus. The book is just Incubus, that it was based on by Ray Russell. And this says screenplay by George Franklin. We'll talk about that later too. Directed by John Hough. It was released in, now, I'll give you the release dates now. We'll just jump down there. So IMDb, which is never wrong, says December 31st, 1981 in Canada. And that's the way it's listed on IMDb. But almost every other place listed as 1982. So, you know, and some places it just says 1981 with no specific date in Canada. At any rate, it was released February 24th, 1982 in France, and August 27th, 1982 in the U.S. The cast includes John Cassavetes, John Ireland, Kerry Keane, Helen Hughes, Aaron Noble, and Duncan McIntosh. It was produced by Kings Road Entertainment, Mark Films Limited, and John M. Eckert Productions. Filming locations are Guelph and Toronto in Ontario, Canada. From September 22nd to November 17th, 1980. The budget was 5.1 million Canadian dollars, which, according to my online historical currency exchange, is about, or was about, $4.3 million at the time. Domestic box office, 5.6 million, and every place says 5.6 million. Every place.
Okay.
AKA Incubus. That was the original title.
Wow.
I got some more, but I didn't have room for it on the card.
Yeah.
So in
Not even
Germany,
worth the breath to
it
say
was
it.
I
in
know.
Germany it was Incubus Motorische Träume, which means murderous dreams. In
Oh,
Colombia,
that makes sense.
In Colombia, it was La Semilla del Diablo, the seed of the devil. In Italy, Incubus, Il potere del male, which means the power of evil. And finally, in Mexico, Incubus, Pesadilla Diabolica, diabolical nightmare. So it's devilish. It's, yeah. All righty. And the synopsis. A small town's doctor takes matters into his own hands after a series of gruesome and bizarre rape crimes perplex the clueless authorities. And that is the opening shot and the closing shot. That eyeball.
Yep.
So I guess we come full cycle.
The circle
Okay.
of life.
Well, let's move on to first impressions. And I think this will be interesting because this was Chad's pick. So we're going to let him go first. Had you seen this before?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I saw this at the Fort Pierce Drive-In in Fort Pierce, Florida, when I lived there. And I was a kid, and I was in the back seat with my girlfriend, so I didn't catch a lot of what was going on. We were just talking, in the back seat a lot. And am I on mute?
No,
I hear you.
hear you.
I hear
Okay.
You stunned us to silence that you had a girlfriend.
Oh, really?
You were in the back seat during Incubus, not paying attention.
Not paying attention to the.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyhow, I'm watching the movie, and it looked like from what I could gather at the time, an artsy fartsy film of some sort. So I didn't pay much attention to it. So I guess there was not enough action going on as far as monsters and everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't really pay it that much attention. So I saw it pop up. I've known about it for years. Never had really wanted to watch it that much until it popped up on Tubi, and it was in the '80s. So I said, "Hey, that might be one we can cover here since it's the '80s podcast."
That might be one we could cover.
We might be able to do that one. So I watched it, and it was a lot different from what I originally thought it was. It wasn't an artsy-fartsy movie at all. John Cassavetes was in there. You had this creature on the loose that was sexually assaulting young women and maybe some men, as far as we know. They never checked to see the poor guy that got
fair
killed.
enough. Yeah.
But it was a good little mystery film. They throw a lot of red herrings your way to make you think certain ones are the killers and there's a killer. And at first they make you think it's a gang of rapists and killers. And then, it's revealed at the end who it really is, which I hated that ending. It just did not make sense as far as what an incubus is. And I liked his daughter a lot. I thought she was really cool, and she was really a good character. And then, for her to get offed at the end, I didn't like that very much. But all in all, it was a standard horror movie. Just the overtones of sexual assault and that kind of thing, violent sexual assault, and I'm thinking that it didn't go over very well. I'm not sure how. I didn't hear a lot of people talking about it, especially my friends and stuff, and I'm sure it had to do with the subject matter at the time. There wasn't a whole lot of that going around. Maybe The Entity. I can't remember what year The Entity came out, but
oh yeah, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I overall I liked it. The performances were really good. The creature looked good. I just wish I had seen more of it.
Yeah.
Not little, but I guess that would have gave the mystery away somewhat. But anyway, overall, I really did like it.
Okay. Appreciate it. Crystal, how
Sure
about you?
thing.
So I did see this as a kid.
Of course you did.
Wow.
I don't because I remember
5 years old.
the cover, but I don't remember. I didn't remember much about it, and now I see why I didn't remember much about it. I really enjoyed it now. I agree that the ending is. I mean, it just goes into such a wild. It doesn't follow any mythos that is like. Other than that, so whatever, it's fine. But up to that point, I would have thought this was incredibly boring as a kid. I probably didn't even finish watching the whole thing
A lot of
because I could see
talk.
myself. Yeah,
Sure.
I could totally see myself just being like, okay, because I mean, you want like the creature, you want the action. I thought, ooh, I think if I remember correctly, it was like a creature sitting on someone or something in the poster, and it looked super crazy, and I thought, oh,
That
looks good.
Wasn't that wasn't it called a Gothic something?
oh, that's it. You're right. That's
that painting.
Oh,
I can't remember the name of the painting.
no. There's like but yes, there was something like create. Yeah, did they do that in this poster?
I think
Am I
Ken
crazy?
Russell. I think Ken Russell did a movie called Gothic that
Yeah.
had that
That's it.
poster in real
Okay.
life.
So
Yeah.
you know what? I'm probably conflating the two then. Because
Yeah,
I was like, I don't remember any of this.
That's okay because
Well,
I just remembered.
yeah. So it's probably that I watched, and not this. And so now, this is the first time I've seen this movie, and I really liked it. I'm sorry, but sometimes I just forget it. I watch so much at points.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, sure.
it starts to just go. But, I mean, I mean, John Cassavetes
Speechless.
he's so good. I mean, he is captivating when he's on screen. Like, I believe everything that dude says. And I did love him in Rosemary's. Wasn't he in Rosemary's Baby? Please
Oh,
tell
yes.
me I'm not.
Yep. You're
Okay,
right.
at least I got something right. But like, I loved him. But in this, he just he really is just I don't know. There's something about him. There's some gross bits about him, and well, you know, I know that's not his daughter, so you know that's fine. But God bless, like what the heck?
It's the opposite of
Ew.
fine.
Yeah, it's like not only does he like, I mean, see her naked. Why wouldn't she shut the door? It's super weird. Who does that? But also, like the kiss was real weird. You know, when they're like on the bed, and then she like, I was like,
Mhm.
okay, there. It's just, and then he calls her his queen. Typically, a man calls his daughter a
Princess.
princess,
Yes.
not his queen.
Mhm.
Yes, and that was so weird to me. So that's the only part of this movie that I'm like, ew. But it actually kind of helped with the whole creepiness vibe of the movie. It wasn't quite to the point where maybe it's just because he's attractive. I don't know.
Wow.
I was just like, he's not bad looking. And I know that's not really his daughter, so that helps. But the idea is super gross. But yeah, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I'm actually glad that we watched this because I think this would have been one I would have missed for sure
Mhm.
had we not done it here.
Okay.
Mhm.
Bill Mulligan.
Hey.
Yeah.
So
think?
I saw this for the first time yesterday. Yeah. So here's the thing. I mean, I was aware of this film and I had the opportunity to rent it. It was on. I remember seeing the VHS boxes and everything, but low budget Canadian horror about a rapey sex demon. Hard pass. I mean, that just there's nothing appealing in that description for me. Um, so imagine my surprise when I'm watching this. It's like, okay, I know John Cassavetes. He's one of our greatest directors and a pretty good actor. But, you know, Orson Welles is in a lot of dogs too. You could say the same about him. I just didn't expect a lot. And I'm really digging this film. It's well made,
Mhm.
good camera angles, a couple that actually made me sit up and take notice. The shot on the woman's wheelchair where
Yeah.
she pulls up
Yep.
to the door and we are seeing under the door and seeing the body,
Yeah,
which she can't see. I'm like, okay, that's actually really solid. That's
Well,
that's
and
pretty
at the
good.
bottom of the wheelchair, and you see her legs. You're
See,
looking between
yeah.
her legs, right?
You know,
Mhm.
everything,
Interesting.
the acting was mostly good. I thought the young actor was not that great. Cassavetes is so good. The problem when you're, you know, if you're a young Canadian actor, hasn't been in a lot of stuff, and now you're in a movie with John Cassavetes, like, well, you're going to look bad. And yeah, that's just got to take that. But it's a strange film, and the sex horror is unpleasant, as it should be. And this is one reason I don't like films that have a, you know, rape as a theme, because if it's shown the way it probably should be shown as a horrible act, it's really unpleasant and uncomfortable to sit through. But I don't want it prettied up either, so I just as soon not have it. But you know, not everyone agrees. It's just, I don't know, there's just something about that. I like my horror just with horror, not with the rape thrown in there. But of course, if you're doing a movie about Incubus, that kind of goes with the territory.
Mhm.
The ending to me feels like they ran out of time and they probably had 5 different endings, and this is the one they went with, because it does come out of the blue. Literally everyone in this film could plausibly have been the Incubus, given the fact that there are no rules whatsoever. Apparently it can appear at whatever it does, and so the one they chose was as good as any. But I'm kind of with Chad. I'm okay with the ending, except that they killed off the 100% likable character off screen in a really horrific way.
Mhm.
That seems, again, this sounds childish, but that seems very unfair to the character and to us, the
Mhm.
audience, who have been following them. You know, you say in real life, people don't always get to have last words. Like, yeah, this is a movie, you know, throw me a freaking bone here. It's a creepy ending, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why is the Incubus pretending to be someone that they're not? Has it always been this way, or you know?
Why is the
So
Incubus helping them solve the crime?
Yeah, this it's kind of like a mystery. Yeah, it's like a mystery where you realize at the end it's like, and here's the person who did it, and like, well, there's no way that I could have come up with that conclusion by watching this movie. There weren't all the clues that a smart, clever boy could put together, and everything is just like, this is what we went with. We rolled the dice, and this is the character who came up. So, but I like the film. I am really surprised. I am really surprised. If I'd known it was this well made, and now I realize the director has actually made some pretty good films, including one that I absolutely love, Twins of Evil. Yeah, I would have given this more of a chance earlier on. But it's a strange film. And a lot of stuff never comes together. We keep having flashbacks to the fact that the Cassavetes character had a wife who died. Maybe he was responsible. I don't know. I kept thinking that was going to mean something. But all it seemed to mean is just giving us a reason to suspect that it was him all along. And if they had gone with, oh, by the way, John Cassavetes is the Incubus, you'd be like, oh, of course he is. He's John Cassavetes. Look at him. He's got scary eyebrows. Hold a flashlight under his face and he's instantly the villain. But they didn't do anything with that. The cop character, played by an interesting actor who's done a lot of stuff, he just disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. He was gone.
Yeah.
He was off with the state guy talking about gangs.
Yeah. The whole young man and his creepy grandmother. Are they witches? Are they witch hunters?
Yeah, that's when things went crazy.
They sort of tied that in at the end, but not in any way that made a whole lot of sense. Yeah, it just feels, the ending feels very rushed, and I think they should have maybe thought a little bit more about that. But boy, is this movie better than I expected. My expectations were so low, it couldn't help but exceed them. But even given that, if I'd gone in this blind with no expectations, I think I would have enjoyed it, and I did. So, good pick, Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Good, because it smelled like a Chad pig from a long time.
It did. It had that Chad aroma.
Yeah. Boy, strange is a good word. Odd is another word I was thinking of. And even, I'm going to argue with you just a little bit, but I don't have anything to back it up with. And I'm hoping I'll remember the scenes that got me thinking that way. But the first time I watched it, I'm like, I was uncomfortable as hell. And so I watched it again, for the movie making after doing some research and stuff and knowing how it ends up. And then I could see some things in the way that the reporter acts that would tip you off a little bit, but not a lot. There was a couple times where there's something going on in the background and she's kind of looking like, the way I took it was, well, we'll wait on that. I liked John Cassavetes. I liked the kid. I thought, for a kid that's he's like so tormented by nightmares he can't go to sleep, and he's got like a constant migraine, and he's totally freaking out, and more people are getting killed, and he keeps having this dream, and he thinks maybe he's doing it, and was he overwrought and sweating and drooling and everything? I thought he did pretty good. Sometimes that comes off not well, but for me it worked. Okay, so and I was okay with the witch stuff, but man, you had to pay close attention because the descriptions, when they did the little short piece of exposition or something, you really had to pay attention because they went by pretty fast. In terms of whose son was Tim, and how he ended up with this other woman, with this woman he calls grandma, and that kind of stuff. How long had they been in the town? Well, you can read one line that says that, and so anyway, there was a lot of stuff like that. So anyway, so the second time through, I really liked it, and I really kind of got into what some of the filmmaking and some of the stuff they were doing, and after reading more about the John Cassavetes process, I think it kind of explains a lot of what felt odd to me to begin with. So I think I will stop there because it is now time for
Taglines with Chad. Woo-hoo.
Taglines with Chad.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 taglines, and
Oh,
they better
boy.
be good. I had not
Wow.
read these beforehand.
They
Don't
are.
get your hopes up.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Tagline number 1 for the Incubus. The Incubus. He is the destroyer.
Oh god. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Tell me, Conan, do you desire him or fear him? It is foretold. Once he has chosen, you are doomed.
What?
Wow.
And that is
Yeah.
what is good in life.
Doomed.
This one is one of a billion other taglines that I've seen on a billion other horror movies. The
Uh-huh.
ultimate power of evil.
Well,
What?
Yeah.
None of these make sense for the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. A nightmare of fear and violence.
Okay.
yeah.
That was on the German poster.
All right. Last tagline, thank God, is the dreams, the nightmares, the desires, the fears, the mystery, the revelation, the warning. He is the destroyer. How could they fit all that on one?
Really? Yeah.
Oh, I'll show you.
This must have been in the novelization.
I
Yeah,
pulled
yeah.
up a couple posters here. So
That was.
thank you, sir. That's
Yep.
been
Oh.
Taglines with Chad.
This has been the poster for Incubus.
I keep putting that up. That's been Taglines with Chad. Jiminy Christmas. I shouldn't put one green thing
I'll
next
do the
to another
music so
green
you don't
thing.
have
Da,
to.
da, da.
So I'm going to throw up some posters quickly here. Thank
We're
you,
all gonna throw up.
Chad, so much for that.
Oh,
This
it was
is
my
the
pleasure.
one that I see the most online.
And that's not good because it really looks more sci-fi than.
And
yeah,
it doesn't.
definitely does.
There's
Looks
nothing,
like a
anything. It
sexy
doesn't make
version
me
of
think of the
Starman.
content of the movie, does it? No.
Yeah.
And then I believe this. Here's where they get all that stuff on there.
That's the one I remember. That's the poster that I remember the most.
Hmm.
He is the destroyer. That's just stupid. That's just stupid. Like, that is just the dumbest. That doesn't work. I mean, he's destroying her uterus, but other than that, I mean, he's not a destroyer.
Well,
Like, when
they
you
do
think of
end up dying.
Well, yeah, but that's destroyer is a big word. Like, you use destroyer when someone is coming to destroy worlds, to destroy
Yeah.
cities, to,
How about somebody coming to destroy you? That would make him a destroyer.
Well, yeah, but
no.
in the
No,
grand
that's a
scheme of
murder.
demons, incubuses are like bitches. I mean, they're the
Yeah.
punk ass little nothing. They're not
Mhm.
Cthulhu. They're not laying waste to cities
I
or
agree.
anything.
Cthulhu. See,
Incubus-
there you go.
I'm just
Exactly.
playing
An
devil's
Incubus-
advocate.
Destroyer of worlds. Yeah, I know you are.
When all the
Yeah.
demons
Mhm.
get together and discuss things, if they see an incubus showing up, they're like, "Oh Christ,
Oh,
here comes
God.
Kevin."
I hope you didn't bring
Yeah.
that potato salad with the raisins in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody likes.
He's gonna say and do something gross again. Kevin, who
Yeah.
invited Kevin? All right.
Oh.
This is I believe was a French poster.
Nothing to do with the movie, but a pretty cool poster.
But I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the colors.
And finally, this I believe was a VHS box cover, a German one, as a matter of fact.
Well, that's
Ooh,
But I've
that's
seen other ones.
awesome.
That's
That's
actually-
much more to do with the movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Huh.
He's got the dagger. We got the.
I love the way John Cassavetes is drawn.
and
there.
they're
He's
totally
sick.
and this is one of the things. One of the reasons I didn't like the young Mr. What was his name? Duncan
Tim.
McScottish name or something?
It's Tim, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean the actor was
Oh,
Duncan
the actor's
MacLeod. Yeah,
Tim?
he was like the most
Yeah, it
Scottish
was,
name ever.
Duncan McIntosh.
Oh, Duncan McIntosh. Good God, could you be more Scottish?
Let's just call him
Um,
Tim.
Yeah, just Tim. It was so obvious that I was meant to believe that he was the Incubus, and never for a moment did I buy that, because I've watched enough episodes of Scooby Doo. It's never the guy you think is the monster. It's always some second banana guy.
Well, and that's interesting because they draw this as it being him half.
yeah,
Incubus and half
totally.
him.
I mean,
Well, maybe the other half is his sister. I don't know.
yeah.
So anyway, there we go.
Oh,
So let's
I like that German person.
this John Hough, I had no idea. I
No,
saw the name and I thought, I have a feeling I should remember who this guy is. And when I started looking, I went, oh, wow, how
Yeah.
come I don't remember him?
look at
And
that.
and what a varied output.
A weird output. I mean, Twins of Evil, love, Peter
Yeah.
Cushing, Vampires, Hammer. Come on, Legend of Hell
Escape
House.
to Witch Mountain or Witch Mountain.
Yeah, Dirty
Watched that as
Dirty
a
Mary,
kid.
Crazy
Dirty
Larry, which is not horror, but is just a great exploitation movie.
Yeah.
Doc's
Also
favorite
with-
movie.
Yeah, also an ending that they just like pulled out of nowhere. And then The Howling Four, of which the least said, the better. Just-
Whatever.
There are no good Howling sequels. There are no good Howling.
That's
sequels.
that's a crock of shit.
Nope.
That is a crock of absolute doo doo.
Nope.
No,
Sorry.
there are,
are.
sir.
There's Goose
No,
Egg
sir.
Howling sequel.
No,
Goose
sir,
Egg.
Mr. Chad.
Well,
No,
he also
sir.
You can say no all day. You
Yeah,
will never
yeah.
convince me otherwise that there's a good Howling sequel
Wow.
ever. And I'm
Ever.
sure the listeners will go, but you didn't like 4? You didn't like 3? You didn't like 2? No.
And the
I
answer
didn't
to all
like
those
any
questions
of
is
them.
no. He didn't like any of them.
Sounding no. And you
You
cannot
won't
I-
convince him,
mine.
so don't try.
Yeah.
He also directed American Gothic in 1987, which was
that's-
that movie with Rod Steiger. And,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Not just Gothic, not Gothic, American
Okay.
Gothic.
American. Well, besides that, he directed 4 episodes of the Avengers,
TV show.
latter Avengers with Linda Thorson. But he was the executive producer for The Human Race from 2013. Did you guys see that?
I've never seen that.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you need to see that. And I know it's out there. It's a friggin' great science fiction movie, but you don't know it.
Really? Okay.
Well, these guys,
Does it
These
involve a
people-
literal race?
these people come together. They find themselves on this football field with a track around it, and some disembodied voice tells them they have to keep walking. And I can't remember what the rules are, but there's rules about not going off the track or not certain things. And if they don't do them, they explode, And so it's like until whoever ends up. And the lead guy is an actor that is an amputee. And so he's on crutches. Anyway, and he's great. I've seen him in a lot of stuff since then. He's a really good actor. It was Santos had it on his list of top 10 from that year. Let's put it
Interesting.
that way. So check it out.
I'll check that out.
I got to watch it again. I haven't seen it since I first watched it, and I loved it. Anyway, yeah. So John Hough. Now he said that his way of directing was he would always do 3 takes. And the first take, everybody had to do it the way he described it. And the second take would be like the actors, any inputs they had but he had to kind of agree with that. Yeah, that's an option, And the third take, I think, involved everybody, more ideas from outside. So I don't know exactly how that would work, having not been on the set.
Wow.
But he
And
literally
the fourth
said,
take is everyone act like Nicolas Cage. Just
I
swing
would
the rap.
dream the scene the night before. And if anybody wanted to argue with me about the way I wanted it, I said, no, we're doing it the way it was in my dream. And they couldn't argue with me.
Sort of like Howling sequels.
I had my dream.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Wow. Oh, that look you just got. Wow.
Chad.
he was a weird guy. So it was interesting. I found that interesting. But he also told a story.
It kind of works though. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's his process. He probably has to get out his vision. He's a creative. He has his vision, and he's got to get that out, and then he can let them do their own.
And again,
whatever,
and I say this about a lot of
I
films
get
because
it.
I guess my expectations have just gotten so low, but the movie looks better than it had any reason to. I'm always impressed because I watch so much crap, Loch Ness horror type stuff, where they just aim the camera and shoot, and there's no composition, there's no thought that goes into it all other than just get the lines out. I like the way they move things around, place the camera, interesting angles. It's visually an interesting.
The camera and some of the shots were telling the story. The camera was in on telling the story, like scenes with Tim in it. The camera was wildly moving around to sort of reflect his craziness going on in his head, and the
that-
other camera,
yeah.
everything was low to the ground with the girl in the wheelchair.
Mm.
And that's true.
It's
Like
from
from
her
the
perspective.
from the very first shot, we have two doomed teenagers swimming at a quarry. Man, a million ways you can shoot that. That opening shot, woman in the foreground, the boy standing up behind her, looming over her, the sun behind him. It's a good shot. It's a nice shot, and why not? Because it's just as easy to set up a halfway decent shot as it is to set up a boring, dull shot. But that's the way they usually go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're setting you up because, like, the first line of dialogue is he goes, "Bitch," and then
Yeah. And then we get the
runs off
Jaws
into-
music.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about that for a second. What other music sounded similar to something? So we have the scene in the
it did
lake.
sound like something.
We had the scene in the lake, and just for a few
Yes.
beats, you hear like the Jaws music. Right?
Yes.
When she's looking into the water and stuff because he's jumped in and hasn't come up yet.
Glad y'all brought this up.
But there was another scene that totally blew me away.
Oh my God, I can't remember.
Okay, so
But I was like, when I was listening, I was like, oh, that sounds a lot like,
Mm-hmm.
there was something else.
there was the scene where he goes into the house where the guy, I think it was a coroner, but after he kills the coroner with the shovel, and then he goes into the house, and the two daughters are in there. It's psycho music.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
there's a section where it goes
There's
ree,
something
ree,
else, too.
ree, ree,
Oh,
ree,
right.
and then there's a
Yeah,
bum,
it did.
bum, 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 and then
You know, it makes
there's a
sense
shower
to
scene,
copy.
right?
Mhm.
It ain't
There is a
anything like
shower
the
scene.
psycho shower scene, but it was. I just thought,
Mhm.
holy cow! So then I was trying to listen and think, well, I wonder if he does this for every kill, but I didn't. I didn't pick up any other ones. I was hoping you guys might notice some that I wasn't aware of. But
I know
it
there
is-
was another one too.
yeah, Jaws and Psycho. That was so.
Oh,
Anyway.
and speaking of music, why? And this is where it's like, oh, that's right, it's Canadian. Why the hell was that music video thing slapped in the middle just to be?
Oh God, that
just
was so
awful.
Because it was Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden.
So somebody
It's
tell me.
so weird though.
I never knew this. So is that who Christopher Walken's supposed to be in the I Gotta Have More Cowbells skit?
I'm Bruce
Because they call him the
No.
great producer, Bruce Dickinson. Is he
Oh.
supposed to be that?
That was more of a Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah, Blue
It
Oyster
was
Cult.
Blue Oyster
Yeah.
Cult.
But they used the name. You're right.
Well, Bruce
Okay.
Dickinson's the singer for Iron Maiden, and Samson, that band that was in that video, was the band he was in just before Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
So that was, I think the
Oh.
next year he was in Iron Maiden. So, but I think Samson was more of a Canadian band. Dickinson being from England.
But
But,
you are absolutely right. His name was Bruce Dickinson in that classic sketch. So I don't know if that was a homage or they were just pulled a name out of a hat. Bruce Dickinson.
I don't
It's
know.
more
I thought,
cowbell.
this is one of those metal things that everybody knows that I never even thought of. But no, it's not supposed to be the same guy. Okay. It's Bruce Dickinson. He didn't look anything like that guy. Anyway,
Somebody just pulled that out of a hat.
that whole music thing was crazy, though. That was
Just pointless. Yeah.
it was sort of out of nowhere. Why is this in here?
I was
It was
waiting
the-
for Thor to show up.
Yeah, John Michael Thor.
And
It
the
was-
people that were sitting there were so bored. They're like, that's the part that was super weird to me. I was like, it wasn't even the performance. It was this.
And who goes
I'm
to
like,
a
what
movie
is
theater to watch
happening?
music
Like-
videos?
Right.
That was just real weird.
It was
like
the
their
80s.
Cool
whole-
laser light though. Yeah.
What did I see? Oh, I saw there was a poster for the Rocky Horror Picture Show there.
Yeah, there was.
Went
And there
by
was a
real
poster
quick.
for Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Yes,
Yeah.
there was.
Saw that.
Yes, there was.
That got my hopes up.
Yep.
But come on, don't bother explaining. Forget it, Jake. It's Canada.
So, written by Ray Russell, the novel, which now I wish
Look
I
at
could
you.
tell you. I wish I could tell you the story, but I read it like 40 years ago, so I don't remember.
You got a better copy of that than
Yeah,
I
it's in
found
pretty
for
good
the.
shape.
Yeah.
I did a
like-
graphic.
Well,
card with,
I'm a
stuff.
very particular about how I read my books. I never break the spine, and I
Oh, he hasn't moved too, Chad. So
Oh,
like
Oh yeah, that'll ruin your book collection.
moving
Oh,
will ruin
yeah.
all your stuff.
when did I move here? Oh, that's true. I've lived in the same
Yep.
house for like 40
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, see? So he hasn't moved. So if I hadn't moved, like, my stuff would be in great condition.
Jeff, I did a card, I think, with his.
You did, and that's what I was getting
'cause
to.
I
But
was-
we got.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I was surprised. This is some good stuff, Mr.
Yeah.
Sardonicus.
Yeah.
X the man with the X-ray eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read about him in Dance Macabre, the Stephen King book, and so I kind of sought things out by him. So the story, Mr. Sardonicus. Well, the name of the story was Sardonicus, but
So he did at least 2 films with William Castle. Interesting.
yes, and he was a editor for Playboy magazine.
Ah,
And so that's why he would get these stories by like Ray Bradbury and
Right.
Robert Bloch and stuff like that.
there was a time when, and hard to believe, but Playboy was worth reading for the articles. I mean, they really were top notch for short stories and really, really good
That's
stuff.
where
It's just-
Stephen King wrote a lot for them.
Yeah.
That book, Incubus, looking at that book up there, it really brings me back to something. Oh, I so wish this would come back. You would go to the drugstore.
Mhm.
They didn't have as many as they have now, but they had paperback racks with
Yeah.
lots of lurid titles and cool covers. And when you were, I would get the Doc Savages and the
Mhm.
Pellucidar and all the
The
good
Destroyer.
Yeah, Destroyer, Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff and
Mhm.
everything. But then there were the horror ones that they were a little too old for you. Maybe you could sneak it if your parents weren't paying attention or something. That was great stuff. And now we don't have that because nobody reads.
Yeah.
I'm not saying these were necessarily great literature, but you had to read them.
It was
was
fun
fun.
literature. Mhm.
Yeah. And things have gone to hell in a handbasket since we lost all of that.
Yeah.
That was me.
That-
That's me.
Oh,
I can't
oh,
stop
thank
it.
goodness.
I can't stop it. Hold on. No, stop.
That's.
Stop.
I thought that was your.
No. God damn.
Yes,
Da-da-da.
Crystal.
I thought that was your
Yes.
sound effect for things went to hell in a handbasket.
Dear
Yeah.
God.
I am under your command.
I hit something and then I could not get it to stop.
I
Okay.
understand.
I apologize.
No,
Well,
that was
and-
awesome.
And then when I get nervous, I can't function as well. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Touch the button,
It's just a podcast.
I think he has a little bit of a knack for dark comedy too, Ray Russell. If you look at the like Zots and
Mhm.
anyway.
Even Sardonicus had some dark humor in it.
Oh, yeah.
Sardonicus.
Mr.
That's great. We did that.
Sardonicus.
Before I go any farther, while I think of it, this made me think of all this stuff. So there are 4 episodes of classic era in the 70s that we've done from these posters that we've just shown.
Really?
One of them we're going to show right now. It's a scene from Rosemary's
yeah.
Baby at the bottom.
Oh,
So
yes.
on
Yes.
classic area, we did Mr. Sardonicus in episode 128 and Rosemary's Baby in episode 150. And on Decades for the 1970s, they did The Legend of Hell House in episode 3. And I think you have to go to the decadesofhorror.com website to find that.
Yeah.
And Twins of Evil we did on episode 110.
And I'm pretty sure the second from the bottom picture here is from another one I think I might have been on back in the day, The Fury.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they did The
Yeah.
Fury, too. I forgot about that. Yep.
So
The
Cassavetes
Fury was done in the
creepy that
70s,
time.
pre-episode 40-something. I know that.
Yeah.
That's about when I
Cassavetes, I
started.
mean, I don't necessarily consider him a super handsome guy, although he does have
Oh,
a
he is.
yeah, okay. He's got a
What?
masculine presence, and he's
Yeah.
able to play these oily characters that can be a little bit menacing, but he's such a bastard in Rosemary's Baby. He's
Yeah.
so irredeemably evil in The Fury. So when you're, especially when they give you shots like that top one here from Incubus, it's pretty easy to think, okay, this guy is clearly 100% the bad guy. It's not the little kid. You can't fool me, Scoob. It's this guy. He leers at his daughter. He's just wildly inappropriate. He talks about things like dry rape that I didn't even know existed and I didn't want to know exist. this guy is so clearly the bad guy, which of course, so the ending did take me a little bit by surprise. In my defense, I don't think it makes any sense. There's no reason I should have realized what was happening before the ending, because
that might be the baggage that he brought to the role, that they said this will be the ultimate red herring in the film. He was a bad guy in Rosemary's Baby and
right
and stuff like that.
It also feels like he's almost in a different movie. And I read something in our workflowy that said he rewrote his dialogue, and I 100% believe that.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, so this is reading about him, and John Hough tells this story because John Hough directed Brass Target, which had Cassavetes and Sophia Loren in it. Oh, wow. And he said Cassavetes absolutely refuses to follow the script. His thing is he's so in the role. I mean, he gets across the point that's in the script, but he's going to say it the way it comes to him at the time somehow. I don't know if he actually rewrites it or ad-libs it at the time or what, according to the emotions and the situation. And Sophia Loren was like, she always followed the script. And so when you're feeding off a guy that's not giving you your cues or your keys, she's like, I can't work with this guy. I can't work. So I think
a lot of that stuff in the hospital with him going, all right, tough guy, when he was talking to the girl.
What the hell?
That felt ad-libbed as hell. That felt
so.
Like
that's what I thought.
On the spot.
Some of the stuff that I thought felt odd to me felt like, in a way, it was probably more real. It didn't feel like somebody doing a script.
Yeah.
It's a weird vibe though. It kind of reminds me of another one of my favorites, Q, where Michael Moriarty is clearly in his own world.
He should stay there.
But yeah, and for our younger viewers out there, may not be aware of it, Cassavetes, if one were to make a legitimate top 10 most influential American directors, not actors, directors, Cassavetes is going to be one of those guys who's almost always on the list, even though most people could probably not name a single film he ever directed if he held a gun to their head. But when you talk to other directors, other great American directors of some note, and they make a list of who their most influential directors are, they almost always put him on the list. Now, maybe they're just trying to look important, but no, this guy was a major deal. Sounds like it was a tremendous pain in the ass to work with, though.
Movie I saw of his called Tempest. I think it was called Tempest.
Oh yeah.
Good film. Not horror, but he directed and wrote it, I think. It was he made a few with Gina Rowlands, who was his wife, and that was a terrific partnership there. You almost guarantee the one where she was taking care of the little girl, Gina Rowlands.
Yes, I know.
She played the ex-cop.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I had it in my head.
Excellent film. Alone. But anyway, we digress. Degrassi.
Died way too young
I love
from
his
cirrhosis of the
his
liver.
Wife's awesome. Yeah, he was an alcoholic, wasn't he?
He was. Is there any mystery there?
If pretty heavy smoker too, but
if the drinks didn't kill him, the cigarettes would have.
He said that everybody in the cast, I mean, Carrie Keane, the director, I'm trying to think of where else. I think it was John Ireland. I saw stuff. They all talked about what a nice guy he was and how much they liked working with him.
He usually the people who play the worst, the people I swear I believe this now. It's not universal, but the people who play the best bad guys are usually the nicest people.
Well, they said that on weekends or on their days off, he would invite people over to his place and they would do play readings. And other actors would, like Ben Gazzara was a friend of his, and Gina Rowlands, his wife.
The guy from Roadhouse?
Ben Gazzara.
Yeah, he was in Roadhouse.
And he was definitely in Roadhouse.
Run for Your Life. That's what I know.
Science fiction movies ever made. We're going to do Roadhouse one day because I'm convinced it is secretly a genre film.
It is not a genre film. No,
it takes place
that's
in
where
a
I draw
universe
my
that does not exist on this planet Earth.
Neither do the House.
You're talking about the Patrick Swayze thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the
Yes.
bad guy in Roadhouse.
Alternate dimension.
Okay, but
where-
it's not science fiction.
I would disagree. I will.
Yeah, it
explain
is.
this one
You,
day.
Patrick Swayze kicking the crap out of a whole town of people. It's science.
Yeah. There's no cops in this film.
It's not based in reality, but that
Yeah.
doesn't make it
Oh,
science
well, yeah, I
fiction.
don't
Yeah.
think
Sam
The
Neill's
highest-
mustache. It's
Yeah,
science
yeah.
fiction.
The highest status you can possibly have is to be a bouncer. Yeah, it's great.
So that's you talked about the guy, the great shot of the guy in the pool, but also who are you going to think is the Incubus? Here's that shot at the top with John
Look at him.
Cassavetes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look
The
at him.
light behind him
beautiful.
in half shadow. It's
Yeah.
like,
And then look at him standing in front of this scary painting, and he's scarier
Yes.
than anything in the painting.
that's a great painting too. That was,
Yeah.
I don't know what that museum was, but it was like an occult museum or something with all the paintings and
Yeah.
stuff that were in there.
That painting has a name, and I cannot think of it to save my life.
I think it was in the credits. So talk amongst yourself. The Nightmare. Henry
The Nightmare.
Fuseli's The Nightmare.
Mm.
Swiss artist. Henri, probably.
Hmm.
So, all right. Onward, upward. Carrie Keene, the journalist.
I don't know about her. I
She
saw
was
her.
in
I did
Spasms.
see Spasms. That had some cool makeup effects in it.
It did have some good makeup
Yeah.
effects. And it's got
Um,
Oliver Reed, so you got that
Yeah.
going. So I'm
So,
sure she's got some
Crystal-
good stories to tell.
Yes.
Crystal, you were kind of talking about this. I had to like rewind and listen to try to understand what the hell was going on. So trust me, I'm going to get to Carrie Keene. John Cassavetes, Dr. Sam,
Mhm.
his wife had died like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is his monologue or dialogue he does with his daughter in the car. His wife died 6 years ago, and then 2 years later, he had an affair with an 18-year-old, I guess.
That is a
And-
Oh,
shocker.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize she was only 18. But yeah,
Well, I
Julie.
think he said that, but anyway. But then at the end, we get this thing where she was having an affair, and I couldn't tell if he meant his wife or if he meant this other, his affair.
No, Julie was having an affair. That's why he got angry, and he was the cause of her death.
Okay, who's Julie?
Julie is also this thing is taking the form
Right.
of Julie.
So
Mhm.
Julie
Right,
is his
but-
now dead wife.
Is that
Second
his
No.
dead wife? or
No,
the dead
Julie
affair?
is the affair.
Okay.
Julie is the affair.
Oh.
She had an affair on him. He got angry. She died, which we keep seeing her dead body. I guess.
Yeah.
And he
I
showed
don't
him
know.
speeding in a car at one point. So I don't know
Right.
if
Did
it
he
was
run
her over?
Speaking of which,
hmm
that guy is hellish hard on tires and brakes. He never
Yeah.
went anywhere without screeching that car to a stop.
Yeah.
So
every,
if
every single scene.
and it's ridiculous because the sounds when he's getting to the hospital and the deputy or whatever
Yes,
whoever he is,
yeah.
it's like I'm like, oh god. But if you listen when he is having a drink with her at the bar, she's like, oh, so I remind you of her, and he said, no, you are her.
Yes, right.
That's what he
Right.
said very specifically, and that was kind of a clue there because I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Which means the Incubus is even dumber than we thought by taking on the guise of somebody he knows.
Yeah, you think he'd be a little more subtle.
But it
They're like
but
you said,
it's
they're
not.
the
It's a
big tail.
succubus. It's not an
It's-
incubus. I don't
it's-
care what you say.
You know.
It's a succubus, and that's what's
It is
dumb.
kind of a
Yeah,
kind
but
of a
it
dumb move,
bothers
but
me.
that's so Kevin, you know.
Well, the results were the results of an incubus. But
Yes.
incubus is supposed to be a male demon. So.
Yes.
Well, maybe he is
Yes.
a male demon just putting on a female skin. I mean,
Well,
I think
that's
the
what I
real-
was
Yeah.
choosing.
Yeah,
to
but-
think,
His real
That
form
That's
doesn't-
is
just
Mr. Ugly.
That's too easy. They just threw that on
Yeah.
at the end. It's felt
and then she shape shifts for the rape scenes, apparently.
Mm.
Yeah.
I did wonder though at that end scene where she's going upstairs. He tells her to go upstairs and keep an eye on his daughter,
yes.
and she's wearing black with a really vivid red skirt, or vice versa. I can't remember which was which, but I just thought I wondered if the colors were supposed to indicate anything. It was.
Hmm.
It wasn't like anything
Probably
else
because
she
I
ever
don't
wore
think
in the
she
movie.
wore. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good analysis. I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Again, it makes no sense. What's the Incubus's plan here? To just keep raping every woman in the town until what? It just
Something that happened in the town earlier, I think. They were
Well, they said
supposed
this
to.
happened. Same thing happened 30 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
And that's why she.
Yeah.
Well, that she was. Well, she or
The old grandmother.
it was the result of it. She is the result of what happened 30 years ago. And then he was the same. His mom or whatever.
The grandmother was a witch hunter.
Yes,
So she was around
it's
at
also
that time.
so weird.
So she kind of knew what was going on, but never told anybody anything.
Right.
Yeah, it's super weird. Why?
And
But
the town
why
is
would
named
she
after
like?
her, right? The town is Galen. Her name is Galen.
And that's why
So
she
what
has
did-
so much power because they
so
were
what
like
did she
the
say about
freaking
Tim?
Cotton
Was it-
Mathers.
Was it Tim, the son of a witch that her family persecuted?
Hmm.
Isn't that what she said?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I think he's. had
But
all
see,
these
okay,
stuff
so they
happen.
have the same mom, not the same father. That's why he's connected to her, but not an incubus.
Mhm.
See, the mom was a witch, and she got raped by an incubus because that's what incubuses did. They only mated with witches. It's probably let's add some lore here because I feel like it. Like
Right,
witches are
right.
the only ones that can handle their spawn.
Right,
Sure, whatever.
right.
So then she had a child, which is this thing. I am so bothered by it being a woman. If you can't tell, if it's supposed to be an incubus,
It is bothersome.
okay. Yeah, but then she goes on to live her life, whatever, and then that's when she has Tim, who is a witch but not an incubus. That's
I'm
why
kinda
he's
with
having
Crystal
these
on this.
dreams. That's
If
why
I go
he's
see a movie
connected.
called Succubus and it turns out to be a big hairy guy, I'm going to be like, well,
Yeah.
this is false advertising.
Yeah,
just
you're right.
silly.
You're right.
That's what bothered me about the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay if he's a shapeshifter, but to stay with the lore and stay with the
Yeah.
of it, he should have been, a man.
Well, so I looked at this, and I think I wanted to go back and check the movie credits, but I didn't. IMDb says it's based on Ray Russell's novel, and that this other guy is wrote the screenplay. That guy only has 2 credits. Plus, we know that Cassavetes played fast and loose with the screenplay. It actually said, Bill, I think the detail we had was, or trivia was, he rewrote 80% of the dialogue.
Wow.
Maybe he had 80% of the.
And who's going to say no?
Oh, no,
It's
you're
not
right. You're right.
Cassavetes.
80% of his dialogue. I'm sorry. You were
Which
right.
means he probably didn't really change the meaning. If
Yeah.
So
you know,
the story.
he-
Yeah, but
Well, in order for them to have a love interest and all that kind of stuff, it had to be a woman, which I think is BS as far as what the story was calling for, and then the mythology was calling for. If they
you know
did
what they
it,
should have done? They should have not named it Incubus.
yeah, just name it something else.
Named it something else. And you know what? You still could have done where the woman would read the incubus stuff, because then
Yeah.
you could think that's just the father, but that she's not. You know,
yeah. Well,
I got-
like I said,
I'm just saying.
I tried to
got a
find a
feeling-
synopsis. I tried to find
Yeah.
a synopsis of the novel, but
Can't find.
you know how they do that all the time for
Right.
Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do it for this.
Can't find.
Can you
it.
just open
Yeah.
it up to the last
Yeah.
few pages? And
No,
I have a-
I did that, and it's like it's the voice of the incubus just saying weird.
Oh.
Jeff said.
I am
Jeff
bored.
reads it. It says the end, and he just closes
The
the
end.
book in disappointment.
No.
my theory.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you
read
right
the
now.
last paragraph.
But my theory is this. My theory is that Cassavetes was supposed to be the incubus, and then John Hough had a dream, and they just changed everything
Well,
the
that could
last
be.
day.
Could be.
I was born tonight. I think that in some other place or places, I was born before and died, and then was born again. But none of that has meaning to me. I only know that I was born tonight, and that there is a thing that I was born to do, and I will do it now. And if you go back a few pages, there's even more of that.
Oh man, he's a loquacious little monster, isn't he?
Yeah. talkative little.
And I think that's like the opening paragraph of the book too.
Okay, so we got that elliptical. Yeah, that's cool.
I was born tonight. How good I feel. So anyway,
if Cassavetes was supposed to be the Incubus, it would have made more sense that her character was trying to help him solve the mystery and and that kind of thing. And it would have given credence to the fact that he was ogling his daughter in the shower.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
more of
then.
that other stuff. So
Yes.
I'll take things an
yeah.
Incubus would do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so two other things about this, and you people that have been involved in movies, tell me how big of a deal that was. One is it was shot without storyboards. Is that
That's okay.
Yeah.
If
A lot of
the
people do
director can keep it in their head.
Yeah.
Look, storyboards are
Sure.
important, especially when you have a massive production, so everyone gets the vision. It depends on the director though. If the director
Sure.
has a vision in their head, then they have a vision. I have seen people work and they're like, and you could see them working out the whole thing in their head. Just depends
if you
how
have a
talented
director
they
that
are.
can keep all that in their head,
Mhm.
they can take any scene, any shot, and pull from that and tell
Right,
where they
right.
want to go with
Okay.
the story.
okay? And then the other thing I was going to mention is that at one point, David, they were trying to get David Cronenberg to do this movie.
Oh.
10 times worse. That would have been
man,
the tagline.
that
10
would-
times
times
worse
worse.
than the original Incubus.
You don't know body horror until you've seen David Cronenberg.
It looked like you were going to say something there, Chad, before I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
I forgot what it is now.
I was just
Oh,
thinking
I'm
about
sorry.
Cronenberg.
I'm sure it
man.
was
Yeah, that would've
genius,
been
but I
awesome.
can't remember what it was.
Lost to the ether.
So the sheriff, Hank, who ticked off Laura, the reporter, so much,
His mama
Was-
calls him Henry.
John Ireland.
John Ireland.
Satan's cheerleaders.
Yeah, he was in a couple. He's been in a couple of. Welcome to Arrow Beach is an interesting one we might do someday. He's this. I mean, I feel like when I was looking at his IMDb, it's like, well, here's one of Jeff's favorites because this guy was in an awful lot of stuff.
He was. And in
Yeah.
the 50s and, 40s and 50s, he was in a lot of film noir.
Mm-hmm.
And then that started morphing into westerns, and then he went overseas and did a bunch of spaghetti westerns. And this, I thought you might find it, but he did a movie in the 60s called I Saw What You Did, directed by,
William Castle.
yes,
Oh wow.
um,
I
and
missed
he
that
did a
one
couple of
somehow.
each. He did a really good episode of Boris Karloff's thriller called Papa Benjamin, which is from a story by Cornell Woolrich. It's he plays a composer that's like blocked, and he gets his ideas from these voodoo ceremonies that he clandestinely witnesses.
Oh, I bet that goes well.
Papa Benjamin comes for him. It's really good. And he did a Alfred Hitchcock Presents. But what I wanted to get to was some of these. I think these are westerns. So in 1968, of the Italian types, the English version is "Go for Broke," directed by Umberto Lenzi,
Oh, okay.
and then "Pistol for 100 Coffins,"
That
also
sounds
directed
cool.
by Lenzi.
Great titles. Yeah.
One on Top of the Other, directed by Lucio Fulci.
Ooh.
And then one called Zenabel that was directed by Ruggero Deodato,
Oh wow.
Cannibal Holocaust guy. So
Yeah.
this guy had some of those guys. He also in '88, that Chad, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but he did a TV movie called Bonanza: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Bonanza.
And he was going to be the patriarch of that family, but it never made it past that pilot movie.
I remember
went into
hearing about it.
production.
Yeah.
And he did a movie
And
in the
he-
'70s called House of Seven Corpses.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That also starred John Carradine and Faith Domergue, who was a
And I think he's got a brief
noir.
role in Sundown, the Vampire in Retreat.
Yes.
But I was puzzling because he does play the, like the description said, the clueless authorities and everything. But he seems like he's a major character, but we get no resolution.
Right. He just gets siphoned off by bureaucracy. Is what it seems like.
Yeah.
That character named Drevis. That every time they say his name, it's like who's the guy in Seinfeld? Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Jerry Drevis. Drevis is here. Oh no.
Hello, Newman.
That's
Newman.
it.
That was it.
Yeah. Good times.
He did another one that I just thought this is a great title. Another Italian Western. Trusting is good. Shooting is better.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
I do love the titles of a lot of those spaghetti westerns.
And he was nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Academy Award for All the King's Men way back in 49.
Huh.
And he did during that time, right off the bat, he's doing movies he did this war movie called Walk in the Sun in 1945. I think that was his first one. And then in 1947, a movie called Railroaded, directed by Anthony Mann with the co-starred Hugh Beaumont. And Ward, Red River, 1948, directed by Howard Hawks with John Wayne and Montgomery Clift. And there's a huge list of great character actors in that.
By the way, Chad, I think the Gloria Rowlands film you were thinking of was Gloria.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Love that
That's
film.
simple.
Gina
enough.
Rowlands.
Yeah.
Gina Rowlands. Yeah. What did I say?
Gloria.
Gloria.
Rowlands, that's okay.
That's okay. Gloria.
Yeah.
So then he did a movie called I Shot Jesse James, directed by Samuel Fuller.
Oh, yeah.
He played Bob Ford, which is my dad used to always sing this song. Who's the dirty coward that killed Mr. Howard? That's Bob Ford and Mr. Howard was the name Jesse James was supposedly going by. The Walking Hills, directed by John Sturgis. Gunfight at the OK Corral, also directed by John Sturgis, the one with Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. He played Johnny Ringo. Spartacus, he was in that. So anyway, just Elvis movie, Wild in the Country. That had I can't remember who the other one was, but one of them was Tuesday Weld. So anyway, this is one of those guys and that's why I'd like trying to pick at least one guy like that. The movies that you see everywhere. He's got over 200 credits, but you never really think of his name. He's not like he starred in a lot of movies, but almost all like B movies. So very well-known guy. Another guy that was thought of as being a really nice guy and very commonly played rough character.
The Thug.
John Ireland. Alrighty. Well, you guys did mention, and I didn't. I think she's still working, but the actress that played the daughter, I thought was really good.
Yeah,
She
was very likable. She was the most
billed
likable
as
person in the
Erin
movie.
Flannery, but she's now Erin Noble.
Oh.
And it's hard to find any information on her age. The only thing I could find was one resource that said she was born in 1962, but no date, which would have made her 18 when this was filmed at best. If it was.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she was. She looked like she was 18. I think she was an adult.
Well, she did a nude scene. I know that's not required, I guess, but
it doesn't necessarily mean it was her, too.
True.
We only saw her from behind. So
you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, like that. You'd be shocked at how many people you think you're seeing nude that are not those people.
I know that.
It's like, can I pick my ass, please? Okay, let's line them up, and it's not a joke. This is how it works, and you pick your body. That's what I want to look like.
You already mentioned the creepy relationship between Dr. Sam and his daughter, but the other one was when Laura comes in his house and sees a picture of his daughter and says, "Who is that?" And he goes, "That's the woman I live with."
Yes. It's so weird. And she's
Yeah.
like,
It's
what?
just-
It's just
Huh?
weird how he talks about her, too.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I know that they. See, I wonder if
That might be
he-
to be
See,
the red
that-
herring, right?
But that
Yeah.
might be the stuff that he changed and chose to make it like that, because that was his dialogue. He called her queen. Maybe he wanted to do that to make him seem creepier. Maybe he
Maybe.
wanted to
It
like
worked.
kind of. It did, but she worked too when she kissed him on the.
They moved in pretty close at first.
Yeah, she kissed him on the
hesitated, and then-
yeah. It's so weird. I was
Yeah.
like, okay. I for a second there, I literally thought they were about to make out or something. I was like,
But
Well, I
I
thought that
still
whole-
I feel like all that him looking at her in the was all just set up to make him look like a creepy bad guy, to set up that he could possibly be that. Because another way to look at it is he's looking at his little girl. You know, she leaves a door open as he's coming up the stairs, and he looks inside, and he's like turns his head like she's getting so grown. You know, how am I gonna? You know, that kind of thing. It could have been taken that way,
right.
or it
Yeah,
could have been
it could
taken.
Except the
be.
movie is called Incubus.
Right.
And he's always upset that she's going out with some other boy. You're like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's quickly do this as usual. We're
There he
running
is.
out of time. So
Yep,
when you
there-
finally do see the Incubus,
he looks like a Ferengi.
Yeah.
he does.
kind of does, yeah.
Come on, Quark.
Yeah,
I love
keeping
Quark.
your
I thought it was
pants
decent,
Sundance.
but it was shot, you know.
No,
in
I don't mind it.
dark
I
and-
mean, I see
Yeah.
why they didn't show it too often. I mean,
Yeah,
but
He's one of those that looks better in the dark.
He's got some teeth. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
We didn't see any. Well, never mind.
yeah, yes. I knew you'd go there.
genitals, is that what you were trying to say?
I think we got
Genitals?
the idea from the
Yeah,
shattered uteruses. I think we get the
Right.
idea.
we didn't see any turgid body parts or anything.
I didn't want
Um,
to actually.
I had to. Yeah. Well, I mean, think of The Exorcist. That demon statue.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. He's
Pazuzu. I have a Pazuzu around. here somewhere.
Pazuzu,
Pazuzu.
Pazuzu baby.
All right. Well, we need
If you
to.
will.
I need to close this up because I do have some feedback. Any final comments here? That
Good flick. Good solid flick.
Yeah.
Better than you probably
Totally
think it
worth
is.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So thanks for picking it, Chad, because it's another one I probably would have lived out the rest of my life without actually getting to. otherwise.
Same here. If it wasn't for the show, I probably would have never watched
No,
it.
I'm glad you did. One final comment about John Cassavetes is that we've done these. So we heard in this one that he never follows the script. In Rosemary's Baby, he really wanted to do that movie, and Roman Polanski was like adamant. You're following the script, and you're doing. He was very particular about every scene, what he did, and the way it was blocked out, and everything. And that he had a hard time with Cassavetes because he was always coming in wanting to change something. And that what we learned about Roman Polanski when we did that movie is that he was so new at it that when he adapting the screenplay from a novel, he made it as faithful as he could. It's considered one of the most faithful screenplays to a novel ever done.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was. It was sort of like he didn't realize he could change it as much as they always do now. But anyway, yeah, Cassavetes. So there's one where he was very constrained. The direction was very constraining, and this is one where I think they pretty much let him be him because he'd worked with him before and he knew what he was like.
I think the reality is that dude was more of a director than an actor. Because as an actor, like, I get it. You want to do your own thing, but I know better. And I will stay in my lane, and I won't say a word,
right,
and I'll do
right.
what I'm told, and I just
Oh,
keep my
that's
mouth
hard.
shut. You know?
It seems like it'd be really hard on the other actors unless you start
Oh,
off
yeah.
and say, "Here, let's do one where we improv around this situation."
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Exactly. It's like if you kind of all have that sort of thing going, then that's fine. But I think, I think he just is a director. I think that was his real win.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Not bad.
that's it for this episode or this movie, I should say. Now we got feedback. And
Okay,
this
let's
is
see
kind of
this.
a late one. When we did Zombie 3,
Oh.
which was about 2 months ago, we talked about this poster being copied from a couple places, but listener Nick Gadman sent us this.
Detective Nick Gadman.
So and I don't know if he did this or if he got it somewhere. So Nick, if you got a source, give us a shout out. But on the left is the
That's
poster.
awesome.
And during the podcast, I said, it
Wow.
was easily that it was copied after Force 5. But then Nightmare on Elm
Yeah,
Street
look at that.
3.
Isn't that crazy?
Mhm. Like,
Cool.
I think they literally stole all the images. I
Uh-huh.
think they stole them. They don't even look like
Stealing
they're
is
like
such an ugly
recreations.
word. It's
And
an
then
homage.
the movie
if you
Absurd, the screaming
redid it, but
woman in it.
Yeah, they swiped.
It's like
totally.
what do they call these? It's like montage in the movie
Collage.
poster.
yeah,
Collage
because
on the movie poster.
see how Robert's eyes are even one is open more than the other. Like if you were to recreate that with someone else's eyes,
Yeah.
Those are they stole those images. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, they're so exact. The same with the mummy or the old guy's face from Tales from the Crypt there in the corner.
Peter Cushing, yeah.
And
But it's a cool,
Montage,
makes a cool poster.
homage, grand
Makes a cool
yeah, it
poster.
is. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
Made me want to watch it.
So appreciate it, Nick. That was
Yeah, that's very cool.
very well. And
Excellent.
sorry, guys, if you're listening to this, you might want to check in towards the end of the podcast to see what this looks like. I suppose I could post it. I could probably put it in the.
Yeah, go ahead and post
Blog.
it.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
see, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You dirty rat, post it.
So we have one from Jeff Hernandez on Tenebrae, episode 234. And I mean, Jeff Hernandez is like one of our most loyal listeners, but he doesn't comment very often.
Mhm.
He's been around as long as I've been listening to the podcast, and
Jeff's
all
a
he
cool-
said
Jeff's
is
a very
one of
cool guy.
my most watched.
Yeah.
Jeff's good folks. So
Pithy and to the point.
he loves Tenebrae. Appreciate it,
Yeah.
Jeff. And 235 for Tenebrae, or no, I'm sorry, 235 Monkey Shines, which just came out a couple days ago. Who wants to take the Gregory Crosby?
I'll take Gregory because it kind of
Okay.
relates to something I did wrong. Okay, Gregory, thank you for this, by the way. I saw this in the theater when it came out and have almost no memory of it. So this episode encourages a revisit. By the way, I suspect they intentionally used the monkey toy for the poster in the hopes that people would indeed remember the cover of Skeleton Crew, published just 3 years earlier, and gently confused the general public into thinking it was a Stephen King adaptation.
Yep.
Much like I
agree.
did. And
I
just,
agree.
I mean, that was like in my head. Like it wasn't even a question. Well, obviously I didn't look it up because if I had, I would have known the truth. But it was like, oh, it is. It is. No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
And then, thanks, Gregory, and thanks
Yes,
for
thank
because we said that. I think we said that. That it was.
Yeah. Because I was like, wait, because you didn't even correct. Y'all were so sweet. Y'all like Jeff corrected me like when it got to his turn and was like, oh, it's not, like
I
written
didn't say
by
that.
this person. You didn't actually like correct me when you said it's written by. So I was like, wait, what? Wait, what?
We just wanted to see you wallow in your own
How far?
embarrassment.
Yeah, just dig that hole deeper.
No, that was
and
nice.
so,
though. That was sweet.
To follow along with what we said about giving Bill a hard time with monkeys with razors, here's one from Jerry Chandler, and I'm going to read this one about Monkey Shines. So, what happens to the show if we find a horror movie about crawling, severed killer monkey hands? And
Ow.
I
The
would-
Jeff and
I
Crystal
would throw
show.
in
That's what happened.
with a razor
Bill,
blade.
Bill and I will be watching cartoons.
Right.
someday.
I'll be in a fetal position under the covers of my bed.
So
What do you
Actually,
think
that
they're saying
brings up-
now, Bill?
that brings up a good question. Chad, is it just human hands or what if it was a monkey's paw?
Yeah.
It could be a
With
monkey
that-
hand. It probably wouldn't bother me that much, but just
It's
something
human.
about human crawling
Disembodied
hands.
hands.
Just
Okay.
yeah, I'd never sleep again. I quit.
Okay.
Monkeys have.
You
probably the
were you
closest
okay
thing to a
with the
human
thing
hand.
in the Addams Family?
Yeah, I was
No.
apparently because it
Yeah.
was
Like
funny.
a live thing. Okay.
Yeah, he's a funny severed hand.
Yeah, I didn't.
He's
As
cute.
All
they
right.
are.
Well, that's it. Appreciate it, Jeff and Gregory and Jerry. Always.
Mhm.
Thank you, guys.
Those
Thank you.
comments coming. That's it for this episode. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and
God, it's already
1989. Next up is one chosen by me.
What will it be? I don't know.
I picked one called Poison for the Fairies
Oh God, I've never heard of it. Okay.
from
You
1986.
just made that up.
I did not. Directed by Carlos Enrique Taboada.
You just
and
made
it's
that
on
up.
Shudder.
Yeah,
We've done a couple of those.
he's
A
already
couple
got
of
the
his
Blu-ray.
movies on the classic era.
Okay.
It's a Mexican director, and
Well, that is-
I watched this and stay with it.
Okay.
Just
All
trust
right.
me.
Are you saying it's a
Stay
slow
with it.
burn?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Ah,
And
Get yourself
it
a
has-
cup of coffee.
he does some interesting things. So
Better
So,
do
so
some
let,
interesting things.
let me guys say, I love Jeff. I love Jeff. But he does like some sleeper slow burners sometimes.
Yeah, thinking
So,
he's all pretentious about it
so-
and everything too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Mexican film. It has blah, blah, blah.
Didn't you love the 20-minute
We did.
shot of just the girl sleeping?
we did.
There was a tear rolling down the flower petal. It was so moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
So we did the Book of Stone
Yeah.
and the
Don't
even
ask
the wind
me.
is afraid in the
Yeah,
classic.
that was a good one.
See, I
That was a
know
good
none
one.
of these. Wow, this is a real
Yeah.
hole in
So
my
this would be fun.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, this is good. This is
All
good.
right. I'm
Alrighty.
excited
Well,
about it.
get ready for your hole to be filled.
Okay. Ouch.
It's just a little different.
Yeah.
I was gonna pick. Oh no, that would have been 70s. Never mind. So yeah, these popped up on Shudder, and I don't know, like a month or so ago. But I had already picked the Loch Ness Horror. So
Oh, well.
we went
But
to
I
the-
am
Way
not
to
sad
go.
that I watched it. I am thrilled that I have seen that.
It was
Yeah,
fun to
yeah.
make fun of. It was
Yeah.
fun to make
Mhm.
fun
Oh,
of.
that was a fun episode. So,
Sure.
all right, folks, catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the 1980s. As
Unless
only
it's a
decades
severed hand film.
of horror can
Or
do it.
monkeys with razors.
Thanks so much, Crystal, Chad, and Bill.
We get Jeff
Say
off
goodnight.
script. He doesn't know what
Good
to do.
night.
Night now.
Yeah.